Lipton's tea with peach. Love it. Well guys, this is going to be another long video, and it's going to be one of those peeks behind the curtain at the Clatterbrat workshop type videos, because I want to talk about and show some things here that I want to work on coming up in the near future. And I think it might involve you guys, because I might be putting some of these experimental lures up for auction. So I hope you'll stick with me. It's going to be a long discussion, so let's get started. All right, first up, what I have here is a tackle warehouse order. This isn't really an unboxing video, although I have not looked in there yet. I'm just going to go ahead and open this box. Got my Kershaw Echelon pocket folder here. Really like this knife. Had it for several years. Just a great EDC. You know, a little bit large for your pocket, but it's a super knife. Heavy duty. Just love it. Made in USA. Not all of their knives are, though. Like everybody else, you have to keep an eye on it. But anyway, let's get started with the unboxing here, which, as I say, is not really an unboxing. I'm going to have to move the box probably down out of the way, so let me do that, because I've got to make room to show the things that I've ordered here. And just keep in mind that this order has nothing to do with my personal fishing plans. It's all about working on some prototype lures. So let me get the camera adjusted, and I'm just going to throw them all out, and then we'll talk about them. Some very interesting lures here. Alright, so that's everything out. What I've got here, guys, are some special hard baits. In this case, here's a Bagley's. This is a balsa lure. Bagley's Rattling Honey V1. Beautiful little lure. Pretty small. Not sure it'll serve my purpose, but you'll see. Just a great lure by Bagley, a classic. That's one of them. All these lures are going to be similar, like hard bait type lures. Here's another Bagley balsa Rattling Honey B1. Just a different color option. These lures, these Bagleys today are made in China, unfortunately. You can see on the back, made in China. So I didn't know that when I ordered these, so that's a downside for me. And it will probably rule out this lure for my purpose. It's a little bit too small anyway, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. Let's just keep looking. Here's the third Bagley. So I've ordered 3 Bagleys. These lures were not cheap. This is a nice looking color. I think it looks like the same as the other one. I think they're the same color pattern. No, they're not. Slightly different. This one doesn't have the red gill on it, and this one does. This one has an orange under the nose, so does that one. They're slightly different. But nice looking, very small topwater lures, which I might not be able to use for the purpose I ordered them for, which we'll talk about. Alright, now here's a more expensive lure. I normally wouldn't buy this type of lure. This is a Mullix SB Crank 55. You know, Mullix is pretty expensive. They make some pretty cool stuff though. Nice looking crankbait. Let's see where they're made. This is the blueback. I'm not seeing right up front easily where they're made. Let's see. It's a square bill. Italy. Okay, so Mullix is an Italian-made lure. This is a nice looking lure. This one has potential, but it's not made in USA, so that puts a mark against it. But for my purposes, this lure could work. We'll talk about it. Then I have 2 Normans. And, you know, the Bill Norman lures used to be made in USA, and this one's not. They're not made in USA anymore. This is the Fat Boy 0 to 4 feet diving that can be fished on top like a popper because it's a floater. They still show Arkansas, or I don't remember, yeah, Arkansas address. Made in Guatemala is what it says. Made in Guatemala. Okay, so it's not made in China. It's made in Guatemala. But this one has potential for the shape and buoyancy of it, for my purpose. And here's the same lure again, the Bill Norman Fat Boy, 0 to 4 depth, in a different color, like a pearl, you know, opalescent pearl color. But it's a small but very buoyant lure. Alright guys, so what am I up to? This was a $50 order from Tackle Warehouse, believe it or not. And that order was these hard baits, which is how many of them? 6 of them. 6 hard baits, and 2 packages of Eagle Claw screw bait keepers, the big size. And these will be an important component to my experiment, which is what? What is my experiment? Well, the answer to that question goes back to this, the snake table. And this is the wooden section snake that I'm working on. I haven't moved it any further yet, but I will. I'm trying to resolve some issues with my drill setup. My drill does not fit. I have one of those little armatures that goes with your drill so you can turn it into a drill press. And my drill doesn't fit it correctly, so I'm working on a way that I can, you know, what I have to do to get this thing drilled perfectly centered. But I'm working on the topwater snake bait, and that's where this comes in. This order here with these topwater hard baits. Remember I told you that I had an alternate plan, you know, to experiment for a topwater snake lure, and it involves these floating baits, which I bought these baits because most of them were shallow divers, and they may serve my purpose. So let's get to it. What is my purpose? My purpose is to use these topwater hard baits as a device, the head of the snake basically. And in this case, with these smaller topwater, you know, hard baits that float, to use this Z-Man floating worms as the snake body. And this is a 7-inch worm, and I got them in white because that's just the color I wanted when I got them. I think I can get these in other colors that will look more like a snake. But the idea here is, what I will do is, and like I say, these smaller bodies might not work because they might not, you know, be able to pull the 7-inch floating worm well enough. So these lures that I bought might be, you know, I might end up giving them away as gifts or something in a contest. These larger ones like this could work. So the idea is I will take these lures out of their package, remove both treble hooks, and on the back tail of it, I will add a single heavy-duty hook, and to that hook will be attached one of these heavy-duty bait keepers, a screw bait keeper. And from there, the floating worm can be screwed on, and then the hook can be applied to the worm body. And then what we're going to have is the body, the crankbait producing the wobbling action that will make the snake body undulate on the water surface, and all this will float. And of course, it'll dive a little bit, and when it dives, it'll look like that that eel lure that you can still buy. I think I forgot who makes it. That's all one-piece soft plastic, the diving eel. That's a good lure. I've used it before when I was younger with success. But mainly, this is to twitch. The idea is to twitch this lure on top, you know, pop it and twitch it, and make it go left and right like a wake bait, and pull the worm body behind it so that it all undulates like a snake. So it would be good for open water fishing. I wouldn't be throwing it in the muck with that bill on there, you know, on the crankbait. But it's the head of the snake and the snake. That's what I'm going for. There's a little bit more to it, so let's move on, and I'll show you another option for this same alternate way of creating a snake bait. Now, I will be making some of these snake baits available at auction, so stay tuned down the road here in another week or so. I should have some of these up for auction, all right? Let me show you the next option for this alternate snake bait. Remember, guys, over the years, I've shown quite a few videos for saltwater talking about this soft plastic called a hoagie eel. These hoagie eels are like giant soft plastic worms. They're made out of super tough material. It's not Elastec polymer like Z-Man uses, so it does tear and snap. But it's pretty toughly made. The formula is pretty tough. And these lures are made for striper fishing in salt water. And you can find them at hoagiebaits.com, or just do a search in Google, you know, for hoagie eels, and you'll find them. They have this long slot under the belly because they sell these really big saltwater grade hooks to go with these things. And you can get them with leaded heads or just plain screw bait keepers in a hook. And these things look great in the water. This is a 14-incher here. I think that's the biggest size they make. And this is the like a natural shed color. These are great products. This would be great for a freshwater snake lure, but it's a little big and bulky. I have another color of the same size here. I'll just get it out. This is a black and amber color one, and they call it Blamber. But these eels have great action in the water with no head weight, no jig, just a bare hook. You throw these things in the water and twitch them, and they just undulate like a live eel. And I'll tell you something, man, in certain situations, for night fishing, for stripers, I'd say these lures are hard to beat. I mean, there's certain places where you can cast these far enough. You know, you wouldn't want to be having to throw them 100 yards on the beach, you know, out from the beach at night. That'd be hard to do. But you could fish them in an inlet or from a rock jetty or from a pier at night, and you don't have to cast real far, and you can get these things to look fantastic in the water, man. Just deadly for stripers. Mainly, you know, when you get one this big, a 14-inch worm, you know, eel, you're talking about a big striper. So I wouldn't be throwing these when all you have around are shorts, you know. Not this size of a bait. I'd throw smaller versions. You know, you can throw regular soft plastic worms that you use for freshwater bass fishing. You can throw them for short stripers with a regular Texas rig, you know, and a bullet sinker, and do quite well. But for this project, I say these are a little too big. They're 14 inches. Yeah, they'd work, but you'd have to have a monstrosity of a head on the thing, you know, the topwater hard bait that I want to use to pull it with. So I'm not planning to use these 14 inches. What I am planning to use is right here. I ordered 2 packs of the hoagie floating eel, and they only come in a couple colors. The 10-inch floating hoagie eel, I got it in pink, and this bubblegum pink is a lot brighter than it looks like in the video right now. This is a really hot bubblegum pink, and stripers for some reason love pink. And then I got the white 10-inch floating white hoagie eel, and trust me, freshwater bass will not care about the color. So what am I doing? What I'm doing is I'm talking about using as an alternate snake bait a floating soft plastic, and in this case the hoagie eel is super tough, and I can get them bigger, you know, big enough to actually represent a snake in the water. The 10-inch I thought was a reasonable compromise on size. And for this lure, yeah, you could fish it with just a hook and it'll float on top, and you can throw it just like it is and it'll be a snake on the water. So that's one thing. And that way you could fish it weedless, like in the heavy muck and scum and all that. But if you wanted to fish it out in open water and imitate a snake and have a really good action that's automatic to the lure, you don't even have to add anything to it, then you would consider adding a lure like this. This is one of my all-time favorite saltwater lures, as you guys might remember, the Man's Tidewater Waker. And this is my all-time top color, the citrus holo shad color. It's just a weird oddball color, and I've caught more fish on this color than anything, including freshwater bass. And it's got the saltwater hooks you can see, and the bass don't even care in freshwater about that. And saltwater, these lures are tremendous as well. They only weigh 3/8 of an ounce, but they cast pretty well from a small beach setting or a nighttime pier setting or a rock jetty, or if you're in a boat. They cast very well, and they have this super loud, deep bass rattle that I just love. Listen to this rattle. You can't get the hooks to sit still. Hold on. Listen to that rattle. It's just sick. And these things are really wide, and this one will move a lot of water. They changed the name of this lure several years ago. Now they call it their like medium -1 or something like that. But it's still the same bait. It's the Man's Tidewater Waker. They're not as easily to find nowadays as they used to be, which gives me concern. It's one of my all-time favorite saltwater baits, the Man's Tidewater Waker, which now they call it the 1- or something. I can't remember. They have different size versions of it, but this is the bigger one, the original, and this is the one I like. And it's big enough, it has enough body to it and buoyancy that it can pull this 10-inch hoagie eel. You see where I'm going? It'll have enough to pull that eel, that 10-inch eel. And of course I'll be removing these treble hooks, as I said, and putting a single saltwater heavy-duty hook on the back, or a hook heavy for freshwater. You know, it might be a freshwater hook, but it'll be a heavy-duty one with the bait keeper, so that it will go into the hoagie eel and make a nice alternate topwater snake lure. So I'll be making some of these available. You know, this order from Hoagie, here I have another wake bait here. This one's one of their freshwater versions, which the only difference is they offer different color patterns, and they offer it for freshwater with the red hooks. But it's the same body, same lure, same weight, same loud rattle, same everything. I prefer the saltwater version. Listen to that rattle. Disgusting. This is like a shad color. I prefer their saltwater, and anyway, I've ordered a bunch of these. I just ordered $100 worth of these Man's Wakers directly from Man's Baits. And I'm planning, that's how serious I am about this, I'm planning to put some of these hoagie eels together with the Man's Waker and then put them up for auction for you guys. This is not a cheap proposition. Now, for example, just these 2 packages of hoagie eels, and I think there's how many in a pack? Let's see. They're 10-inch, and it's only a 4-pack. You get 4 of each 10-inch floating hoagie eels. I got those, and I got more bait keepers by Hoagie, heavy-duty saltwater bait keepers, screw bait keepers. That order right there was $30. So you see, we're not talking cheap here. I've already spent $80, not counting another $100 for more of these wake baits. Without that, just with the hoagie supplies and the hard baits from Tackle Warehouse, I've got, you know, $80 put into this. So that's how serious I'm about it as an alternative to making a snake bait for freshwater fishing. And that's it, guys. That's what I'm up to. I hope you enjoyed this part of the, this video, looking at what's coming. And I hope some of you have an interest in this type of lure. Like I said, you can go to hoagie.com, Hoagie Eels or Hoagie Baits or whatever it's called. You can find their link on my Made in USA website, by the way. So you can go there and find the link to Hoagie. And then you can go order their floating eels. They have them in different sizes. And you can fish them weedless, as a snake, just like they are. You don't even have to put a head on them. But I'm going to try the head idea just to give the body of the snake the big action that we want it to have, Make it irresistible to the bass. So that's what's going on at the Clatterbrat workshop. I'm working on snake lures, snake bodies, snake heads, and an alternate snake presentation for freshwater. And of course I have the section snake that I'm still working on. So that's it, guys. More to come. Thanks for watching. God bless. Fish slow. And best wishes.